to jump in. We had about 15 last week, give or take, so hopefully we'll get a good turnout.
Some light on. There we go.
Is that Don on there too? Hey, Don.
Howdy.
How we doing?
It's a blessed day.
Yeah.
How's Chicago?
Cold, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's usually a bit like us over here in Iowa.
Yeah, and we're supposed to be nice and sunny today, which we are, but coming the end of the week, something from the great north is supposed to descend upon us.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get over to Chicago one of these days, so I'll definitely let you know when I'm heading. Going to be over in that neck of the woods.
Please do. We'll have to do lunch.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's interesting how it'll go in little spurts where I'll have a lot of people from the same area will, in the same month, will sign on as partners. This actually, like earlier this week, I had a guy from Mobile, Alabama. They signed up, and then within 5 minutes, Montgomery, Alabama signed up. It's like, what are the odds of that? So,
It makes it real easy to go and see both of them.
it definitely would. Looks like, Don, you're going to the office. You're still going in, huh?
Oh, most definitely. Sometimes you need it to get away from the homeschooling.
Yeah, we agree with that.
Yeah.
Before the whole COVID thing, it seemed like the only thing at home you had to worry about was the dog barking and someone knocked on the door. But now that we have COVID, you got all the kids at home, and that makes it tough to work from home.
Yeah.
Extremely tough, especially when you get that they don't realize you're on a call or you're doing something and you get the dad across the house as they're trying to get to you, and you're like, please forgive the interruption.
Yeah, I think the good thing is people are becoming more open and adjusting. When you see the CNN news anchor and the little kids running in behind the room when he's live across the world, people.
And the advertisers are now making fun of that. You've got like the Folgers commercial where the gal is moving her cup and going like this to block the kid that's trying to peek in. They're realizing there's a market out there for this.
Yep, absolutely. And it's a better commute, for the most part. If you just go down to your basement, you can get to work a whole lot quicker than that, especially when you come from a big city. Your commute can be an hour. Well, good. Looks like we're getting a few more people joining, so we're going to just kind of give it another minute, and then we'll get this going. We try to keep these to just less than 30 minutes, so we're not dragging on and on. So we'll get going. And one thing I do with these is we record these, and then I'll send them out each week, so we can always refer back to them if anyone doesn't have a chance to sit on one of these and wants to catch up on the topic. So I'm going to hit all of us with mute. If you need to come back off of mute, feel free to do that if you have questions or want to interject. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about our Protect agent, and kind of the way that I look at it is if I were in an MSP shoes and I'm going to go bid on an account or go try to do the work for 50 computers and a couple servers, the Protect piece is pretty interesting because it does so many things. So it can potentially reduce the amount of products you have to log into and manage, but it's the visibility. It puts all the computers and all the clients together in one place, and it does a number of things which Eric is going to go into. But kind of the main things I like is that it can do the backup for a workstation or a server. Doesn't really matter to us or to the system what it is. It can do the antivirus and the security protect aspect of the machines. It can do the Windows patches and Windows Defender firewall, some of that stuff. And it can also let you do remote control, like with TeamViewer, kind of a log me in feature where you could get on those machines. So all that from one dashboard. And even better is you can sort of pick and choose which of those things you need. So if you had a case where you just needed the basic backup, that's an option by itself. It's not as expensive as if you needed it to do everything for you. And then the other nice piece it does is it does a kind of a Dropbox style of file syncing. So you can create a small office if they wanted to have the ability to share files among multiple people and their clients. They can do that, and it's like $1.50 a month per user and 7 cents a gig. So for the storage aspect. So really reasonably, you can get a small CPA firm or someone like that, give them that ability to be a little more secure and not have to spend a lot like they can do in some other solutions. But to give you a quick example for the protect piece, for a workstation or a laptop or something, if you needed pretty much everything, it's in the standard edition, $6 a month is what the agent would be, excuse me, per machine out there. Let's say you had a virtual server, that's $9 a month. And if you had a physical server that you want to put that on, it's a little more, it's $26. And then you have 7 cents a gig for the backup storage on top of that. So just for those who wanted to know the more pricing, we can send that out as well. So Eric, I will turn this over. Eric Dingman is our cloud engineer, and he's going to talk a little more on these points of the protect. And you are on mute still, Eric. I hit you on mute. Sorry.
Perfect. Can everybody hear
There
me
you
now?
go. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate that. So I like to keep things kind of formally informal. So this is, for you. This is for, our partners. In this, we're all kind of in this together here. My goal is to work with you and assist you on anything that you need as far as our adaptive cloud goes. So what we'll look at today is kind of talk through, again, some of the features, benefits of our adaptive cloud data protect solution. And excuse me, essentially, that product basically pulls together multi facets or pieces of products that you're potentially using already today, or you will be using in the future or would like to have, kind of all in one nice package. So it integrates cybersecurity, your data protection, your device management, all kind of in one place and one pane of glass. So that's a major benefit as far as that goes. First piece that I'll kind of talk through a little bit is your backup. To Alex's point, you can back up physical servers, virtual servers, as well as the hosts through this, and workstations as well. So you're able to kind of back up all of those pieces from one agent essentially. So you put an agent on each of those individual pieces, whether it's physical, virtual, it does not matter. So you're able to do that from within the one portal as well. And as well, you can put those agents on individually. You can put those agents on from a host standpoint for agentless installation. So you just kind of put that on a host, say, and it would get automatically pushed to your individual machines on that host. So you have that ability. You can back up entire machines for bare metal restore, which we'll kind of talk about here in a little bit. You can do disk and file level backups as well, and get granular in that way in your backups. It's actually also application aware. So you can back up individual applications as well. For example, SQL or Exchange, you can back those up individually and have some benefits within that backup. when you back up with the application, has the ability to get very granular when you restore from that. From that, also you have the ability, it's very secure, so you have the ability to encrypt all your backups. And that's a very nice feature as well within the product. So you have the ability to turn that on and off. So you would need a specific password or something like that in order to do a restore. So you are able to kind of secure your backups in that way as well. Some other features within that, so device management and patching. So some of this I consider it's proactive, active, and reactive, right? So the proactive piece, you've got your data backup and your monitoring and things like that, but you're doing your device management as well. So you're proactively patching your devices, so you have the ability to do a network discovery through this product. You can do hardware and software inventory within there as well. So and do a vulnerability assessment and cyberfit scoring. The cyberfit scoring hits on 7 different pieces that it's going to give you a score basically for that device that tells you what its posture is as far as its secure level. So you have a lot of features within that device management as well as the backup when you're talking proactively supporting your equipment. And again, there's quite a bit of security built into this natively. The security control, so you're controlling the users and the level of access those users have to your data. So not just any one person can go and do a restore from your information. They have to have very specific access to do so, whether it's local or cloud. So you have that as well. The monitoring and reporting you can do within it. You can also get very granular within your devices. You can monitor things like hard drive health, and again, security and file access and things like that. And you can schedule those daily reports and things like that to go to your administrators. But as far as your monitoring and health on your machines, it's great. It can tell you, if a hard drive is going bad, through the smart technology, and you're going to be alerted to something like that, as well as your vulnerabilities. There's something on there called a data protection map. And this is one of those products that would be something that you would have to purchase that's additional, that is going to give you the ability to see files, for example. It's scanning your devices, and it's going to tell you if there are things that shouldn't be there, social security numbers, those types of things. It's going to scan those files, and it's going to map out and tell you where those files are. And that is key if you are having to do an audit or something like that. And so for security and access controls, so that's a pretty nice feature that's built into the product. Again, something that you don't have to go elsewhere to get. And then as well, you have the active piece to this. So there's the proactive with the backing up and monitoring and things like that. And then the active piece is the cyber protect part, where you're going to protect yourself and your devices and your users through antivirus and anti-malware. So it has that functionality built in, as well as the active protection, which is something that is sort of unique to this as well. So it has built-in ransomware protection for your devices, again, to where it's doing an additional scan on your files, and it's really doing some metrics and looking for changes in patterns. So it's looking at your files, it's looking at patterns, it's looking at changes, and it's doing that actively on your system, with these scans, which is a pretty nice feature as well. It's again one of those features that you may get through another product that you would have to support all in this one piece. with that feature, and that's the active protection against ransomware. The other piece to that a little bit is as far as the monitoring and the malware, there is a it's called a DPOC. So it is going to their data protection center, which they are basically watching and monitoring and getting those alerts. So they're going to be alerted in that operations center that there is a ransomware or something like that on a system. You're going to then get alerted from that operations center proactively as far as that data protection goes, which again is a nice feature built in, as well as actively protecting your websites as well. So it has the kind of a basic URL filtering built in. So it's going to protect you from bad links, things like that, from ransomware and things like that. So it's going to protect your web, not just your desktop. So it's going to block you from going to a known poisoned website or something to that effect. So that's built in as well. And then there's really the reactive piece, and that's your recovery, disaster recovery. This has full recovery and disaster recovery built in. So you can restore, bare metal restore, so you can restore your entire machine. You can restore that in the cloud. You can restore that locally. So if you have a full, disaster, you can restore that up in the cloud, or you can restore that from a VM in your host environment. So that's a use case that we have with our adaptive cloud on the server hosting as well. So you would have the ability to just spin that up very rapidly in the cloud yet. Very, very nice features as well. And then some other nice features as far as the recovery and things like that go. There's the server side workstations. You can recover that. You can recover files, get very granular as well from the recovery. And then again, your applications. So it's application aware. So it's going to give you some nice feature sets within that that are going to allow you to say for an Exchange server, you can actually restore all the way down to an actual email rather than restoring from the whole Exchange server. You can get granular from the Exchange server to mailboxes down to emails. So that's a part of that specific feature set as far as the application aware feature goes. As well as SQL, you're going to be able to restore databases directly from the application versus restoring, say, a whole machine. So you're going to be able to do that as well. Some other functions within there on the reactive side. So you have your recovery. You also have, as far as device management goes, you have the ability to manage and remotely manage your devices. So you have the ability to do remote assistance directly from this console. Something similar to you may have in your RMM. So you have this functionality also within this one portal. So if somebody's having maybe they need a file restore or something like that, you can actually just remote in directly via RDP or a remote, the agent that's installed on the machine, and or HTML5. So it has a few different ways that you can remotely manage those devices and assist your users directly from the console. So those are a few different pieces that are kind of, again, all built into the one Data Protect solution. And I didn't want to go too far into that, but it would be great to talk to everybody individually, and we can work through those individual pieces as far as the data backup goes, and the support and things like that, and the anti-malware and ransomware. Some other features within that, as well as Alex mentioned at the top of this, there's the file sync and share solution that's built here as well. that you have the ability to, it's essentially a Dropbox type of product. It's enterprise level. The great thing about that is that product is you can white label it, it's yours. But you can basically share and support files and sync them in the cloud, so in the Cronus cloud, which is the back end, and or our servers. We're going to have the ability to host that data, and really the key feature is it's your data or your users' data on your systems and or in your cloud, and you're able to manage that for them and white label it. So there's some nice features there. It has the basic features of being able to push files up into a repository, and then you share that out to individuals that you would want to say share a file to. Some nice use cases again would be maybe you have a 100 meg file and your Exchange mailboxes doesn't allow you to send out more than 10 meg or something like that. You can send an external link to a user who's going to receive that link, and they just click the link and they can download it in their view only, or whatever permissions you want to give them to be able to see it. So if you want them to be able to modify that, download it, you have all of those permissions that you can do. You can set for your users individually, and groups and things like that as well. So you have some capabilities with that there. And then of course, there's a desktop agent that you can install on your users' machines, and then they can set up their own local repository that they can then share out for themselves. So very nice product there as well. That is a part of this feature set. And then another piece that we have is called the Notary, and basically that is assurance that your data is protected, it's backed up, and it's authentic. So you have the ability to set up a notarization within, say, your backup schedule, for example, and or certain files that you want to make sure they are backed up, they're not changed, and things like that. And so that gives you the ability to basically notarize those files in that way. And that's all built on blockchain technology, and essentially is like a read-only log, of your system there. So what's great about that again is if you had certain compliances or something like that, and you needed to present that to somebody, you're going to be able to do that, and know that your data is protected, it's authentic, hasn't been changed, and that's pretty important as well. So those are the major pieces to the Protect solution. And again, I think that there's some nice features in here. It's all one pane of glass, that you go to manage all of these pieces that you would normally have to go with, multiple products, tools, and vendors. So that's really, the reason why you would go with something like this. As well as working with us, you have that partnership. So you have that support back end with us as well. You're not on your own. If you have use cases and things that you're working on, we're here as your partner working for you. So you have that as well. So that's definitely a big positive from that aspect. Some other pieces here, as Alex alluded to, and he can kind of speak to maybe, you're going to reduce your time investment, you're going to reduce your costs overall because you're not going to all those other products. It's all in one pane of glass, and you can kind of save some time and effort and money with that. And then again, you're consolidating some of those vendors into one.
Hey, Eric, that's probably a good point to pause and kind of just see if there if anyone has any questions you want to throw out while we have a few 5 minutes left here, go ahead and come off mute and throw them out there. If you do, we'll take some time.
Where is this backing up? Are we backing up both on-prem and cloud, or is it strictly cloud?
So we can do either way. Like you have that ability to do a local kind of repository folder for quick restoring of files and all that, and then it also is up in the cloud.
Okay. And is it sequential or simultaneous on those backups?
Eric, take that one.
So like, so you can do, it kind of depends on the use case. I think that you want to do, so you could do both. So you could basically create a plan which is going to, right now, I think it's gonna, each individual plan would go to one location, but you can schedule those at the same time. So right now you would have maybe two plans. You would have your plan to go out to the cloud, that location, and then you would have a plan to go to a local storage device. So it doesn't necessarily do one plan and then it goes to multiple places per se, but you would just do a separate plan that would run at that same time, and it has the ability just to run at that same time.
Okay, continuing on that thought, if we do two plans that are running simultaneously, one to an on-prem box and the other to the cloud, how much of a hit is that going to be on the server that's being backed up in regards to during the day, then still being able to utilize it?
Yeah, so I think it would kind of depend on the situation. So it's going to do, so there's a certain aspect of VSS and things like that. So it runs in the background, and you do have the ability to scale that on how, say if you don't want it to utilize much RAM or CPU. It really doesn't utilize a whole lot of resources on the back end. So one of the things that if we were to show, you would see you're utilizing that machine as it's going. So it's going to create that image essentially on that back end, and then back that data up as it goes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One thing to throw out there too that we talked a little bit about last week is that if you have a customer that's got a server they bought a couple of years ago on site, and maybe they have 12 months of depreciation left on it, we're definitely willing to be creative and give them credit to our cloud if they would move a server over now instead of waiting. So wanted to throw that out there because no other company is going to do something like that. It's essentially buying out their cell phone contract kind of a concept. So if you have anyone you think that would be interested in that, let's definitely talk about it and see what we could do.
The other thing that I was just thinking of is, and I don't know if I mentioned this, this is not an all or nothing solution either. It's piecemeal. So whatever, if you want the backup, you can just do the backup. If you want the backup and the cyber protect, you can do all of those all here from one portal, but you essentially just turn them on and off with a checkbox. And then you only pay what you utilize. I want to mention that.
Yeah. And Camille, I sent you over the pricing for just the agent, a backup only. Got it. Good.
So what kind of reporting do you have on the backup piece as far as these agents that get laid down on these virtual physical machines or whatever? Is there a dashboard that gives you, X number of files failed per server, or is there, thresholds and alerts you can set? It's also kind of an early indicator of, I know you've got an EDR product, looks like, but delta change per day on a backup is a good indicator of ransomware and things. So it's a good way to get visualization, or if you have visualization, a good way to see. So do you guys have that stuff? Or?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a whole dashboard on the front end of it that actually gives you actually have the ability to create widgets in there. So you could see as many, as much or as little as you really kind of want to see on that dashboard. But yeah, yes is the answer to your question. So you could really kind of see all of that within that. And then you could also schedule those reports and things like that. And those, based on your thresholds that you configure up front, that can get, pushed to you on a schedule as well. But if you just log into the portal, there's a whole onboarding screen that you see that has all of that information kind of at a fingertip mouse touch.
I guess you have policies that you can set up, like typical backup policy 3130 or something like that you set up, and then you've got others for maybe a directory or something that has PHI or some kind of data in it that's going to be backed up on a more worm type or longer term basis.
Yep, exactly. So when we set this up, we'll work with you and we'll create a specific plan for each case. So we generally split our plans up quite a bit. So you have a different plan for, say, workstations. You have a different plan for your Exchange server. So we would configure those plans based on those needs kind of up front. So yeah, absolutely. And again, you can get really granular within those. So if it's just a specific SQL database you want to back up and things like that, you can get really fine tuned with that within those plans. So that would be something that we would definitely work with you on to configure that.
Okay. And are you guys geo redundant, I guess, in these? If we're hosted in one of your data centers and I'm backing up, I'm not in the same data center, right?
Yeah. So right now, there's two pieces to that. There's the cloud. So there's different storage locations and options depending on what you do. So right now, everything is going to Acronis's cloud. And so that's all in their environment. And then we have our environment on our servers. And that would be local, and that would also be redundant with our data centers, which are in Omaha and Des Moines.
Okay. Cool.
Well, hey, we are at 30 minutes, so we can officially sign off this thing if you want to. If you have questions, we'll stay on and answer those as well. So thank you, everyone, for taking a few minutes with us.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. I'd love to talk to everybody individually if you're willing. I'll be reaching out at some point to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Thanks.